Hi, welcome to Adventure RC. Today we're talking about suspension or damper oils, predominantly silicone oils, but looking at other alternatives as well that you can use instead of spending loads of money on silicone oils. Apologies for the sound in the background. I've got a 3D printer printing away PPE for frontline workers during this difficult time of coronavirus. Okay, so today we're going to look at, first of all, we're going to look at silicone oils and how you can have a look, visually see the difference between the different types we've got here. So all my oils here are CST. CST is classed as centre stroke. Basically, it's a universal standard or grading of oil. You get WT as well, which is weight, and they equate to different things which we'll come on to in a second. But essentially they mean that they do the same job of telling you how thick the oil is. Okay. So I've got different thicknesses here. I've got a 60,000 CST, which is unbelievable at far end of the spectrum. I've got a 30,000, a 7,000, a 95, and a 200. And these two at the end here are what I tend to use in crawling. And you can see here that they give a decent amount of damping, but also they allow a lot of articulation. Okay, something like this cheap spring here that's got a bit of sort of a 95 weight in there. Again, really easy to move. But generally speaking, the thinner the oil are used for crawling and for sort of really fast buggies where the suspension is doing a lot of work, and the thicker stuff tends to get used for like touring cars, GT cars, any kind of like road going RC cars. I mean, it's all dependent on the actual the driver clearly, but generally the thicker oils are used for where you want less body, where you want less movement and thicker damping. Okay, so just to put it in perspective then, so I've got a sheet of Perspex here. All I'm going to do is first of all I'm going to run a 30,000 CST, which is a bit like treacle. I would get the 60,000 on there. That's worse than this. So I put a blob on there, and you can see how slow that takes to run down. Gives you an idea how thick it is. Then I'm going to use a 200 CST for the blob, and you can see that's a bit like water flowing down there. It flows quite easily. And I'll do a 95 as well. And there you can see the different. Now, obviously, that's not a. I'm just using that as an example of how fast they sort of flow down there. What I've been trialling and I've been using quite effectively is 1030 or 1040 or is engine oil, which you can see very similar then to the 200 weight. Sorry, the 200 CST. Getting confused myself here now. In there. Now some of these are in the UK, that's £4 for that, that was £6. They vary in price for different brands. I think that was a £5. But generally speaking, I've been using engine oil quite a lot because people tend to have engine oil around in the cars, or sorry, around to top up the vehicles, etc., motors and things like that. And this car's been running engine oil in its shocks for quite a while now. I've had no leaks, I've had nothing experienced any different compared to using any of the silicone oils. The actual Wraith up there has had a similar thing, so I've changed to a lighter oil there, 5W30 in there, an old 5W10, sorry, and you know that's quite thin as well. So you can use a varying amount of different oils to do different jobs. And the conversion, I'll look at the conversion table now, and I'll just explain to you what the actual difference is in some of these. So the conversion table I've got here, as you can see there. The CST chart goes from 300 CST to 1,000 CST. So the closest one I've got here to 1,000 CST, I've got a 7,000 there, I've got a 200. And basically, some of these equate to, the 200 here equates to 20 WT. The 95 here, basically the 100, equates to 10 WT. They're on the lowest end of the spectrum. On the upper end of the spectrum here, the 1,000 is 80 WT. So you can see the 60,000, 30,000 that I've used only in the past on say a few touring cars and stuff like that. It's a really thick oils. So you can use other oils. The other thing I've used in the past as a get out of jail free, because all I had on me was a wet oil. It's for bike chains. That was fairly decent. I'll just show you what that looks like in comparison to these. that runs down quite thin, thinner than the engine oil, and thinner than the 200 CST and the 95. But if it's a lubricant, generally if it's an oil and it's designed to go near seals, your seals, your O-rings should be protected. I know silicone's the best thing to use for those things to protect them, but engine oils and things, they obviously work around gaskets, they work around other seals in the engine, so the chances are you're going to be fine. The one thing I do not recommend, if you want something really light and thin, and low viscosity brake fluid, do not use any kind of brake fluid. Brake fluid is only works for very specific seals. Otherwise, it will just destroy your O-rings to absolute pieces. If it leaks out and goes over the electrics or over the polycarbonate or anything like that, it will start to eat away at it and the paints. So don't touch brake fluid, even though it is, it's an oil, even though it's quite thin, and you think it might be quite good. Don't use it at all. But yeah, so using all of the CST weights, yeah, great. Some of them are quite cheap, some of them are quite expensive. But if you've got anything oil knocking around, give it a go. Give some engine oil a try. Let us know in the comments here how you get on with it, and go from there. Cheers.